Dave Vellante and Sarabjit Johal here in the opening session of the Enterprise Innovation Summit 2021. Now, the conversation is live on social media on the hashtag EIS 2021, and there are prizes on the hour for lucky commenters. So make sure you head there. Now, you can also visit the Yotta booth and answer a few easy questions on Yotta solutions, and you stand a chance to win an Amazon Echo, and 5 lucky winners will get Amazon vouchers as well. Now, I'd like to welcome our presenting partner for our first Fireside Chat. Sunil Gupta, the co-founder and CEO at Yotta, joins us to talk about the importance of fault tolerance and resilience. So please join me in welcoming Sunil Gupta. Over to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to all the distinguished delegates for this year's edition of Enterprise Innovation Summit. I have a very exciting conversation lined up, but before I go into that and introduce one of the finest technologists that I have met, let me spend a couple of minutes to make a pitch for this session. And I'm using this word pitch very consciously. I really like the way the technology pioneer known as Michael Dell puts it, that technology prevented a complete societal economic meltdown by enabling the world to work, to learn, and to play from home during the tough times that we all have been through. And if I can say it with a little bit more conviction, data centers played one of the most critical roles in stopping the world's economy from potentially collapsing and continues to play an ever increasing role as the new normal takes shape. So much so that something as basic as data centers has seen a huge surge, and billions are invested in the infrastructure to augment the whole technology momentum to meet the growing demand. If we look at India's data center policy, the size of the digital population in India and the growth trajectory of digital economy necessitates a strong growth of data center, which has the potential to fulfill the growing demands of the country. The need for data center infrastructure within the boundaries of the country is further necessitated by the data localization provisions of proposed Data Protection Act and for protection of digital sovereignty of the country in an increased connected world. This need for data center infrastructure in the country already opens up a potential opportunity for investments of the order of around $5 billion US dollars by 2025, which could be further increased given the way we are progressing in direction of becoming a data center location of choice for Indian as well as global players. Now, to talk lot about such issues, we have with us, I have the pleasure of having with me Sunil Gupta, who's the co-founder and CEO of Yotta Infrastructure, India's latest entrant in this space with super ambitious plans. At the outset, welcome to the EIS 2021, Sunil, and also congratulations on achieving the Uptime Institute Tier 4 certification for constructed facility for Yotta NM1 data center. Welcome.
Thank you, Rahul. It is so very nice to interact with you every time, and every time you come up with so much of insights. Thank you for having me on this platform.
It's my pleasure, and it's a pleasure for all the delegates and attendees that we have today. I have been made to believe that Yotta NM1 data center is now India's only data center that is truly Tier 4 certified. That creates a little bit of confusion in my mind. Wasn't Yotta NM Uptime Institute Tier 4 certified already?
Yes, Rahul. So first of all, let me do a little bit of boasting for myself. It is no more or not only the India's only Tier 4 constructed facility certified data center from Uptime Framework, but it also has now become and has the distinction of being the world's largest Uptime Tier 4 TCCF certified data center. To clarify on that confusion, Uptime has got two certifications for data centers. First certification is a design certification. They call it TCDD, which essentially means that your design of the data center conforms to the Uptime Tier 4 standards, right? And once your design has been certified, after that, you have to go proceed towards the next level of certification, which is tier certification for constructed facility, TCCF, which essentially means that not only your design is tier 4 certified, but what you have executed and constructed also is exactly as per that design. Now, I would not say TCCF is tough, only TCCF is tough. TCDD was as much tough. Unlike a belief that it was just on paper, I can share with you that when we started Yotta, there was that thought, that vision that not only we are creating super large infrastructure for India, which Digital India needs, but we also need to come up with a quality which nobody can doubt, right? Uh, for Yotta or for India as a country, that we have arrived as a country, we are developing the best infrastructure in the world. And tier 4 certification as per uptime framework would have been the best example or demonstration of that. Before this, as you know, before Yotta, I had built some very good quality data centers being used by hyperscalers. And I always thought that with that experience of having served hyperscalers, having built those high quality data centers, I have arrived, I have built possibly the best data centers. And possibly I used those designs as a base framework when I started Yotta. Trust me, when I put it into the eyes of and under the scrutiny of uptime team, the first feedback I got, the formal feedback on my design was 70 deviations, 70 deviations, right? From my so-called very high quality design, right? And from that time to over next 11 months, it has taken us multiple arguments, meetings, discussions on every single smallest point in the whole design to ensure that my design now become tier 4 compliant. And to explain you a little bit more, tier 4 uptime, is actually not a list of specifications that you do tick, 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 tick. And if you have done all the specifications as okay, then you are certified. No. Uptime framework clearly says end result matters. If your facilities are concurrently maintainable, which means with a planned downtime, planned maintenance downtime, planned maintenance window, if you maintain your facilities, your UPSs or DGs or chillers, you will not go down. That is tier 3. But if you go one step further, that even if there is an unplanned downtime, unplanned failure, sorry, not downtime, unplanned failure of any single thing in the building, any single thing going down in the data center, the facility will still keep on operating to its full capacity without any problem. Now, that is much more notches higher. And that is where we have to achieve this word, tier 4 word called fault tolerance, right? That any type of failure, in the building, be it in my cable, in my bus truck, into my UPS, chiller, into the civil infrastructure which support the power and cooling, into my automation, into my physical security, any failure of any type will not bring the building down. So first we went through that design certification, which received around June or May 2020 before we went live. And then just about 2 weeks back, we finally got our constructed facility certification. This was tough. I can tell you this was tough. We underwent almost 11 days of grueling checking on our facility. We might have spent almost like 5 crore rupees worth of fuel and electricity just to conduct those tests. Those tests mean for 14 hours per day, 11 days continuously, 50 plus team members of mine at my facility, and uptime inspectors joining from US, Malaysia, Dubai, Chennai, logging in, checking into, putting my building to every type of failure. UPS going down, chiller going down, power going down, DG going down, 25% load, 50% load, 100% load. All scenarios, they put every type of test, and they wanted to see whether I'm maintaining my facility at full uptime with full proper cooling and power conditions. And we actually passed that. And that is what the certification is all about.
Oh God, folks who are listening to this conversation now, just try to understand that this small logo on various collaterals or websites it's just not a logo. It actually is a sweat and blood of people who work tirelessly. I mean, money, besides the money that you spend, resources, the kind of intelligence that it requires to achieve these certifications, and that results into the confidence that the customers will then show. And also it also tells a lot about uh, the criticality of this particular part of infrastructure, which is data center. Excellent. Congratulations once again, Sunil. I am aware that Yotta data centers are quite fault tolerant. You just now explained the story. They are fail-safe facilities. Are you personally in belief that in spite of a global crisis, a CIO's IT strategy can be fault tolerant too? And how?
Let me say that it is not that in spite of the global crisis, I would say it is because of the global crisis, there is a need for the CIO strategy to be fault tolerant, right? We all know we have gone through, as the world, as a community, we have gone through the crisis, I would say fairly successfully. But that fairly successful traversing through this crisis has been made possible because our digital life was on, be it as a consumer, content coming on our TVs and mobiles or laptops, or be it as a professional, that our SAP or ERP or emails or official applications are available to us at our homes. And this was happening because there was a fault tolerance ability to sustain every type of crisis in the networks which were connecting us to some backend where our applications are running, and the fault tolerance into a backend data center where all these applications and contents were running. And if anything would have happened to this network and to the backend data center, the impact would have been extremely bad into our personal life and into our professional life. So, and we know, if I go beyond this crisis, we have seen individual crises happening very many times. Fire coming into a commercial building, power going off so many times, right? Some type of chaos happening, curfew happening, and the building becoming inaccessible, right? Somebody doing a manual error leading to some part of the building going away, you know. So these are the crises we have seen time and again in our lives at different points of time. COVID obviously was a much bigger crisis, and these crises have made CIOs to I would say now be very aware that any small crisis or a big crisis, even if it leads to maybe few minutes of downtime to the data center, their entire business goes for a toss. The example of a very large bank, I think, is fresh in the memories of everybody, where a small problem in the backend data center led to a huge loss of face, loss of business, loss of brand for that bank. And obviously, RBI had to put restrictions on their doing business. We have seen similar scenarios for customers who, I can tell you, in COVID times, we ourselves have migrated some large customers from out of their captive data centers to our data center because they thought that if during COVID crisis, during that lockdown, if something happens to their captive data centers, which were not accessible, which were not getting maintained simply because people could not access it during lockdown time, the entire business will go down because every single, even a, let's say, good received note, the GRN or the delivery challan through which the trucks can enter into the factory, even that happens on your ERP. So if data center goes down, even that moment happens and you will see lines of trucks in front of your gate not being able to enter. So everything will go stop down. I've seen electricity bodies not being able to generate their bills, you know, losing millions of dollars of billing in a month simply because something in their data center gone down. I'm talking about some recent examples without getting in them. So the global crisis is rather making everybody realize that whether it is in terms of our data center infrastructure or network infrastructure, we have to be fault tolerant, right? Whichever design you do, whichever strategy you do, fundamental endpoint result is your infrastructure has to be fault tolerant, right? And even if something goes down, right, there has to be a disaster recovery side. There has to be a business continuity into your strategy always. These are no more buzzwords. These are not something budget allocated and you trying to do something to convince your management or the board. These are now life threatening or life giving decisions, which CIOs are very, very aware of. And I would say because of this, it has led to an increased trend towards outsourcing, because when you outsource to a cloud operator or a data center operator, you become assured of that quality of infrastructure, that security and that availability, which otherwise so many times you are not able to create at your own captive data center.
No, so I was not wrong when I said that data centers played one of the most critical roles in stopping the world economy from potentially collapsing. And especially when we are talking of digital financial economy ahead of us, I think this whole momentum will shift in a very different zone, where data centers will become, they already are, but they will become even more powerful places where people can put their trust. So apart from announcing several upcoming data center parks across India, I have also witnessed Yotta forging a lot of very meaningful partnerships and launching uh, a whole host of enterprise services. For example, desktop as a service, GPU based virtual desktops, single window SAP services, and many others. So what's driving you? What's the driving factor here, and what latent needs are you trying to serve in the market?
See, fundamentally, it is coming from two aspects. Uh, CIOs who need to run their applications which drives their business, they need to run it at the highest level of performance, highest level of availability, and still in a way that it is cost optimum, right? It does not lead to a situation where you invest upfront into millions of dollars into an infrastructure, spend uh, spend maybe months and years to deploy your infrastructure and applications, and then after that you figure out whether this is delivering results to me or not. You are
Right.
supposed to test things fast, fail fast if at all it leads to failure, or be successful fast and then expand fast. That's how you can support your business in the most cost optimum way, and also if the business is doing well, to scale it up in the fastest possible way. And that is where this whole concept of cloud economy or micro economy has come in, right? So our entire thought process behind launching these services, as you can see from the name itself, is everything is as a service, right? You, in the industry jargon, we have started calling it XaaS, everything is a service. I don't see it as a technical concept. It is a commercial and economic concept. That instead of the risk being on the side of the end customer, that you put in huge capex upfront, what used to happen, you purchase huge hardware, you pay perpetual license cost, you pay to a system integrator, you create a huge wherewithal, infrastructure, and then after 12 months when everything is on, then you figure out whether this is working or not. The entire risk of being successful or being a failure was on the side of the customer. Now the cloud economy is shifting this risk totally to the side of the service provider. The
Yes.
service provider has to invest into the entire infrastructure, the data center, the network connectivity, the hardware, the software, the people, the tools, the monitoring. And then they have to go in the market, convince the customer to consume it on a small bit basis, cloud basis. If the customer test the application is happy, he will continue. If for whatever reason customer business does not succeed or he is not happy, he can just come out of that. He is not left with millions of dollars of investment which he don't know what he do. So the risk of investment has shifted totally service provider. What we are doing is enabling that scenario. We are investing into our data center, we are investing into cloud infrastructure, and we are investing into, I would say, partnerships with a whole lot of OEMs and software ASVs, and the people who have got solutions for a variety of verticals and industries.
Mhm.
We are tying up with them, delivering these products to the customer on as a service model, And this is what we feel as a commercial concept, as a concept where customers can safeguard against escalation cost, safeguard against upfront cost, and also enable them to to scale up faster in case the business is doing very well. This is where it's all coming from, and this is the latent need we are trying to serve.
No, I think it also resonates very well with the global concept of service-based approach, service economy, where most individuals are now interested in buying services rather than investing in products or in hardware. So great. Um, Now, moving on, despite you touched upon about the cloud adoption, and I'm still very sure that we are still scratching the surface as far as the cloud adoption is concerned. But despite the rapid surge in cloud adoption, especially in the past couple of years, it is quite evident that cloud computing is not something that we can say one size fits all. Um, Now, how does Yotta advise its customers uh, to chart their journey towards cloud? I mean, how do you customize those solutions? How do you advise your customers so that they are also in belief that yes, what Yotta is suggesting is the way to go?
Absolutely. Rahul, as you said rightly, one size does not fit all. Uh, Different industries, different customers of different sizes, different mindsets require different solutions. If you are a startup uh, with no history of having a whole lot of applications and hardware and own data centers, you don't have that baggage. Possibly cloud is the best solution for you to adopt, and you start not only making applications then porting to cloud, you can start developing in the cloud itself, because cloud has revolutionized the way we can do our business in a very successful way. As I said, you can fail fast and you can success, and you can be a successful business, and you can scale up very very fast. And all the, I would say, doubts which were there as the cloud industry was maturing about cloud being a safe and secure place and a sustainable place in terms of uptime, I think they have gone away with time, and cloud is the best solution for anybody without a historical baggage. So that is one. And there also there's a whole lot of variety to choose from. One workload may be doing very well on one cloud operator, but another workload may be working very well with another cloud operator, and you can actually choose. And solutions are coming in like containers and all, where workloads can also be migrated very seamlessly from one cloud to another cloud without you having to face any type of downtime or any problem. So that is one part. However, the moment you go to enterprises, right, the scenario becomes different. When enterprises, they are there for years. They have gone through this IT life cycle from the time when everything was running on bare metal into their own, I would say, computer rooms. Now we call it captive data center, but at that time we used to call it EDP room or a computer room, right? To today in cloud, they have gone through this journey. The challenge with the CIO is always this, that while you always hear about, learn about, be very aware about, be trained about the new technology, and you also are aware about the benefits of the new technology like cloud now, for you to change over to the new technology is not easy, because you have a technical stake, you have a commercial stake, and you have manpower, your people stake into what you have already done in your enterprise already. So if you're stuck with the inventory of millions of dollars into your data center, captive data center, with a lot of hardware which still has a lot of life in it, you really cannot do away with this. Number one, you might have lots of people in your team who are actually doing the management and maintenance of that. You cannot do away with that easily. And even if you say you have made a plan, you can actually gradually do this. It is not easy, because your business cannot give you or afford you a downtime even for a single minute, as businesses become more and more dependent on IT. So, and besides this, by the way, while cloud may be coming in our lives, satisfying and solving lots of problems, it still possibly cannot solve all the problems. Either genuine problems, sometimes by perception, we may not want, as a CIO, want to put everything on cloud. You may still want to run certain things on a private cloud possibly, or for certain things, you may still want to run it on your own hardware because there is a life in this. Considering this, our advice to enterprises specifically, which is mostly our target segment, and when I say enterprise, it includes government as well, is the migration or transition towards cloud has to be a journey and not a end goal itself.
Hmm.
First step is migrate to a data center from your captive data center, lock, stock, and barrel in a physical format.
Hmm.
That is a first level of outsourcing, because then you get rid of the problems like my building not able to expand, my building not having power, my building prone to fire, my building prone to getting down because of some manual error or not enough security in my building. You get rid of those problems by outsourcing your hardware location to a third party data center, and that is first level of outsourcing, right? You can do that in a variety of means with minimal downtime or no downtime. When your technology, let's say, refresh cycle comes in, that is the time, in any case, your business also is willing to give you dollars to renew your hardware. That is the right time when the CIO says that, okay, let me take a fresh look at my application workload. What can go into a Amazon, what can go into Azure, what can I go into Google, what can go into some domestic cloud operators cloud, and what I still, even though I want to put a new hardware, but still need to run into a private cloud, but a private cloud delivered by a service provider only on an OpEx model, right? Not in my data center at my office. This is a very crucial stage. That is where, but you have comfort that you're already into a third party data center, not having all those power, cooling, and fire problems, and you can take that step. So within the same data center where you're co-located, you are now gradually migrating the workload one by one to a outsourced cloud, whether private or public, and you can actually have a hybrid combination of all these things happening side by side. Something working in a co-location model for you, something in a private cloud, and something in multiples of public clouds, and you actually connect all of them into a single hybrid common network, so everything can still communicate seamlessly. Now, this approach, which I said is a transitional approach, where the end goal may not be still everything as a public cloud. The end goal may still be a hybrid of some of your own hardware, something as a private, something public, is something which is ensuring you get best result, best commercial output from your already invested investments. But you also do keep the business uptime full because you are doing it gradually and not in a disruptive way. And you are still able to take complete benefit of the latest cloud services which are coming in our way.
Great. I have the final few minutes left, Sunil, and I have one more question for you. I would request you to be a little articulate. I mean, you have been very articulate, I'm sorry, but a little, we have to rush for this question. One thing which I have really noticed, and which makes Yotta all the more special, is that you have recruited a lot of very refined CIOs to lead various practices. Now, this is not usual with data centers or with any technology company. Um, is there any specific reason that you have got them on board to lead certain practices, and how is it going to be helpful for the customers of Yotta?
I, frankly speaking, would like to say I don't know why this idea never struck anybody, including myself, right? The people who are donning the hat of CIO
Uh-huh.
have seen the technology spectrum end to end, from applications running in your data center and business processes to networks which connect the enterprise across country, across world, to endpoint devices which are delivered to the employees and partners. The CIO is supposed to manage all that. Yotta's blueprint is, as I said, my mission and vision was to serve digital India. It was not just hosting.
Yes.
If your vision is that broad, and if your mission is not only to deliver large data center parks and hyperscale colo to hyperscalers, but also to deliver everything as a service, that everything has got everything. It can be SAP, it can be Oracle, it can be any application which can be delivered as a service. It can be cloud of every type, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, and it can be system integration, it can be network, and of course, it can be data center co-location. When you have such a wide spectrum, you actually need people with a wide spectrum of experience,
True.
and who can develop strategies around that. You have been on other side of the table and now you come on the other side of the table. So that experience also comes in because they know what customer wants. So many time people in the industry like us, we become so much inward looking. We are developing the best product. We really don't really see whether the customer really also feels that as to be the best product. With these people coming in, and I can see that, and I can tell you in my internal meeting that it happens. Most of the time, these people don the hat of the customer and say, Sunil, if we are making this product, the CIO may not like this, CIO may not like this, CIO may not like this. Why don't you do this tweaking? And why don't we take this product to the CIO council, which we have made, Yotta CIO Innovation Council? We actually take our product to the council, take the opinion of our CIO friends who are so liberal and very generous in giving these feedbacks to us, and that is how we launch the product. So all these CIOs who have come in, they bring enormous experience, a wide mindset, end to end into Yotta, and now they're leading individual business practices. And we, as you said rightly earlier, we really want to cover the entire spectrum what the digital India want us to do, and we'll be needing these mature hands which are who have done the role of CIO.
No, wonderful. I think very logical that to understand customers' pain points, who better than a CIO can play that role internally and play at times devil's advocate as well. So thank you so much, Sunil. I wish I had a little more time to engage with you. However, it has been a very fascinating conversation with you, and congratulations to you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much. Bye. Take care.